Hey guys, this video by Solomon Nelson caught my eye a few hours ago and I wanted to watch it, so I just decided to watch it and give my honest reaction to it. Let's get into it.
Solomon Nelson, release the Nippard phase.
I pray you have considered the cost. It shall be done.
Is this going to be like the big Mike Israel expose? I don't know, maybe.
I'll then pivot to Jeff Nippard in Chapter 3, where I'll provide some important framing by going over my history with this so-called scientist and how he came to be my two-time consulting client.
I've never seen Solomon Nelson physique, but he doesn't look that big. I don't know, maybe he's one of the real research-based guys out there that actually don't go to the gym and base their recommendations solely on research. I wouldn't look for that in a coach, but maybe Solomon Nelson has a good physique. I don't really know why Jeff was sold on having this guy as his coach. Maybe Solomon has coached some famous people or something. Yeah, I don't really know much about Solomon Nelson.
We now know Solomon was looking at an accidentally uploaded incorrect rough draft. I guess technically I submitted the wrong draft to the graduate school.
Lying is easy as hell. I can do it at the drop of a hat.
A mere 4 days later, Mike confessed on Instagram that the version that I'd read and reviewed was in fact the one that had been examined and passed in 2013. It therefore looks as if Mike lied about a superior version existing in 2013. A gullible Jeff Nippard rashly assumed that Dr. Mike must be genuine. It was obvious to everyone with a clear cognitive capacity that Mike's story didn't wash. Even Mike could eventually see it and fessed up.
He's been pretty harsh on Jeff here. I don't know how much Jeff looked into this, but it really depends on what Jeff sent Solomon. But if he didn't send Solomon something outrageous, I wouldn't blame someone being fooled by Mike's scandal if not having read the document and looked thoroughly over it.
On the 6th of January 2024, a 24-year-old Solomon Nelson released a video critiquing Jeff Nippard's bench press specialization program. In the video, I contended that it contained workouts that'd be physically impossible for most. The impossible workout calls for 4 sets of 6 reps at 85% of 1 rep max, with 3 to 5 minute rest intervals between sets on the bench press. So most online calculators suggest that the number of reps you can perform in an all-out set of any exercise done at 85% of 1 rep max is about 5 to 6. Hilariously, 2 of the 3 references in the calculator that Jeff Nippard provides in his book on pages 64 to 65 suggest that 5 reps is the absolute maximum number of reps you can perform at 85% of 1 rep max, with the 3rd reference on the table suggesting that you can perform 6 reps at 85% of 1 rep max. See, Jeff doesn't want you to do just one top set of 6 at 85% of your 1 rep max. No, Jeff wants you to do 3 more sets the exact same way, with 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is a pretty big mistake, but it's nothing that I wouldn't expect. I think people generally have too high hopes or beliefs in their favorite creators, but we are all humans and make mistakes, and a good coach is really much harder to find than people think. I can see the usefulness of the original video, but if it's only to hate on Jeff further, I don't see it being any more useful pointing it out.
I mentioned Pac Androulakis Korakakis in my critique of Jeff Nippard's bench press specialization program. A quick note is now necessary for him. His recent reference to executing Order 66 on me is a staggering lapse in professional judgment. It's a standard of discourse we expect from anonymous trolls, not scholars with PhDs, even ones from such low-ranking schools as PAC's Solent University, which ranked 124th out of 129 institutions in the REF 2021.
Personally, I think he could calm it with his shots.
Then at least do the qualification the honour of behaving like a decent person. My advice to PAC: be careful. You lack prudence, and your intervention was childish and undignified. I nevertheless look forward to your next appearance on Jeff Nippard's channel.
Maybe this guy is really wronged, this Solomon dude. Maybe it's deserved, but this is, really hostile. A little too hostile.
There are lots of bad training programs out there. So why single out Jeff? I gave 3 reasons in my video. 1. He should be held to a higher standard. Because he's brainy and informed, I think many people would pretty much believe anything that he says. And so we should hold Jeff to a higher standard than other people in the fitness industry. 2. His failures cause self-blame. When the program fails you, you're not going to blame the program or its author for failing you, but rather, you're going to blame yourself. You're going to think, maybe I'm not cut out for this strength training thing. And 3, his failures damage evidence-based training.
I can maybe see where he's coming from. I think he might be a big believer in science-based training, and he doesn't want people that are highly respected to damage its reputation. But I don't think Jeff should be held to a higher standard because he's more famous. Maybe evidence-based training is just not as effective as Solomon thinks, and trying to control its image by policing other influencers, I think, is unnecessary. If someone like Jeff earned his way up to the top, honestly, which I believe he did, people now can't just be more harsh on him because he's more famous. I don't believe that. It shouldn't be like when you pass 1 million subscribers, you're at 999,000 in your room, and then you pass to 1 million, and then YouTube knocks on your door, and you get some supervisors over you making sure that everything's correct. I don't know, that's just the extreme, but people will just make mistakes and follow the wrong people, and maybe they will learn from the mistakes like Solomon did from running a shit program from Jeff. Or maybe they will just quit the gym. The latter option is of course not a scenario that you would want to be in, and that I don't want for anyone. But I think as long as you're making videos with good intentions and you aren't deliberately lying, that people should just be able to do what they want to do. It's their own channel after all, that they built, and that the audience mistakenly believes that creators that have the most subscribers and the most flashy videos is just a part of learning how to use YouTube as a source of information to get smarter in the gym. I don't even know everything about the gym, and although Solomon seems to have really high beliefs in evidence-based training, there's no guarantee that that's the correct way as well. Everything about training isn't as clean as cut as most people think, and people that are really sure of themselves and really believe that they know the right way, it doesn't matter how hard they believe. What they know may just be false or wrong. So how do we decide who we should trust to do the policing?
The second of Jeff's bad training programs that I critiqued publicly was his so-called women's specialization program. I argued that the program contains 5 major flaws. 1. Inbuilt junk volume. 2. Excessive volume. The answer is 54.
I haven't looked at the program myself, but women generally don't go as hard as men in the gym, so doing more sets makes more sense for them, although 54 sounds a bit excessive.
3. Excessive frequency. 4. Excessively high rep sets. Why would you do a set of 30 to failure when instead you could do a set of 8 to failure?
He's now, for example, critiquing Jeff's women's program, and one of his points is that high reps are stupid in this program and that he should just do lower reps instead, or reps of 30 are stupid. I think there are many people in this industry that would disagree, that I respect highly, and although his other claims were solid, this kind of shows the problem of which I was talking about earlier, of who we should trust to do the policing.
Within a day or two of posting my critique, Jeff Nippard left another comment. A much longer comment this time around. Remember that comment Jeff left on my critique of his women's specialization program? One day I checked the comments section and noticed that it was gone. On the 9th of April 2025, shortly after noticing, I decided to initiate an email exchange with Jeff by politely inquiring about how the comment, which I characterized as thoughtful and conciliatory, had disappeared. I asked if Jeff had, by any chance, deleted it. In his response, which came a mere day later, Jeff denied removing the comment, stating, "I definitely didn't delete it." He then speculated that YouTube itself might have been responsible, suggesting that it could have been flagged or might still be visible in my channel's back-end administrative view. I promptly replied, graciously accepting Jeff's explanation at face value, with, "No worries at all, I believe you." I remarked on how strange it was that the platform would remove what had been such a nice and constructive comment. Jeff didn't reply, and so that closed the otherwise brief and positive interaction. When Jeff Nippard's thoughtful and conciliatory comment on my critique video vanished, it naturally raised some questions. How often does a perfectly constructive comment from a major creator simply disappear from YouTube? The incident prompted a more significant line of thought. Did Jeff Nippard lie? And if Jeff Nippard lied about something so minor, then what else might he have lied about? Despite these suspicions, I chose to reserve judgment at the time, and outwardly gave him the benefit of the doubt in our exchange. Still, the matter was significant. His comment was the only public paper trail connecting us in a constructive professional capacity, and its disappearance effectively erased the only visible record of that dialogue from the platform. Solomon trying to play off his Reddit-brained, parasocial, anti-fan hit piece as a good-faith attempt to help fix the way administrators archive their papers is pretty funny.
Okay, yeah, I can understand Solomon's hostile responses to Jeff. This is pretty hostile of Jeff. I wasn't expecting it, and I understand that Solomon would respond hostilely himself, but he could be the better man and not respond hostilely, in my opinion. But this is very understandable now, and I can't really judge that.
Jeff has since deleted both comments. In our correspondence, Jeff's assertion that I reviewed only one program is a significant mischaracterization of our professional history. I was engaged on 2 separate occasions for paid consulting work. The first project involved a smaller review that was so well received that it led immediately to a much larger engagement involving the detailed analysis of multiple programs for a significant commercial publication. The second project alone was also much larger than a single program review. In both instances, the feedback on my contributions was explicitly positive, and the quality of my work is evidenced by the fact that I was hired a second time. The question I'm wondering is, did Jeff forget? Did he lie? Or is this just what he chooses to believe? And if Jeff lied, then once again I ask, what else might he lie about? Food for thought. Jeff says that he doesn't align with the drama and gossip I do, and yet he's the one who created it in this instance. If he didn't write those offensive, pot-stirring comments about me, then I wouldn't be making this video.
This is pretty hypocritical of Jeff. I think his earlier comments were taking part in drama, and it sounds like he may have lied about a couple of things. Everything he has been saying about policing, exercise recommendations and stuff like that, I don't really stand behind, but exposing someone for lying is something that is clearly wrong and should be policed. So the rest of the video was basically just Solomon talking about how a real scientist should conduct himself. I would like to commend Solomon for making this video, and pointing out that Jeff could be a liar is something that is really big and worth exposing. So, but what are my final thoughts? This video by Solomon has showed me to be more skeptical of Jeff. Like I said earlier in the video, I thought that Jeff was an honest guy and I was ready to defend his honesty, but now I don't know. This expose of Mike Israetel has really led to many things coming out that's pointing to that a certain group in this fitness industry may not be as honest and as good as they lead on to be. But who knows? It's way too early to make full-on accusations, but definitely something worth to keep in mind. Thank you for watching to the very end, and I hope this will lead to a more honest and a better fitness industry.